All right, let's see if this is working. Hey, I think we might be there. Sorry, everybody. We have not done live streaming in a while. Okay, just checking all my audio. Can someone tell me if they can? Oh, they can see and hear. Excellent. I am really sorry for the delay. It has been a short 3 years since the last time we've done a live stream. So, unsurprising that it was a little choppy getting things going, but we're here now. We are making it work. Excited to do this. We'll give everyone a chance to kind of join and come on in. But welcome to the Murder Shed. It is not a fictional place. This is what we call the Murder Shed. In the Murder Shed, I do have a collection of murder weapons. Maybe what we'll do is we'll save one murder weapon tour per stream, and that'll be sort of our fun little secret. So let's. Oh, you guys are getting an echo? That's not good. Is anyone else getting an echo? There is an echo. All right, let's see if I can figure out where the echo is coming from. I don't know if. Let's see if that. I don't know if that does it. It might kill everything. I think that may have done it. Okay, sorry. I fixed the audio, I think. Feeling better? Lovely. Okay. This is not my domain, but it will be. We're going to get really good at this. All right, so here we go. We will do our murder weapon tour. First up on today's, this is a unique item. I'm going to introduce you to the mini chainsaw. And the mini chainsaw, this one's a little bit unusual. It's, you have the big chainsaw, obviously, for bigger jobs. This one is good for, you can see little, some people would call those wood shavings, but it's actually bone fragments. So, this is great for, being slightly more mobile and agile with all your cutting needs. So there is a murder weapon, and we will do a murder weapon on as many of these streams as we can because I've got plenty of them. So yeah, mini one of these days I'll bring the big chainsaw in too. We've got those. There's plenty of murder weapons around inside the murder shed. All right, let's while people are joining, I have something I want to share because it's actually been almost 3 years to the day since our last dev live stream. We used to do them occasionally. We stopped doing them because we were frankly doing them the wrong way. They were too produced, too polished, not enough off the cuff, and they just became too much to deal with. So we stopped while we were trying to fix a dungeon and get things back on track. So I'm going to show you a screenshot from the last time that we did a dev stream. So this was me 3 years ago when we did our last dev stream. So I'm going to do a little contest here. This is pre-Murder Shed, but I also apparently was heavier than I was now. So I'm going to give away a Mythic subscription for 1 month. If anyone could guess how much weight has been lost since the last live stream. We'll do it in pounds, and I'll try to convert to kilos if we can. So go ahead and submit your guesses, and I will watch the comments. And your iPen pen, it is actually a big change. I actually didn't notice. I was actually just screwing around on our YouTube channel today and scrolling through a few things, and I was like, oh, dang, that was a different time of my life. And I'm glad we're in a different place. All right, I see some good guesses coming in. Some are flattering, some are less flattering. A couple of you are close. I haven't seen the actual number yet, but if we don't get it right on, I will award it to the person who's the closest towards the end. All right, let's see how many people we've got joining us now. Then we'll go ahead and get started with our actual topic today, which is going to be the bug process that we have here. So just wanted to have something kind of fun to start us off with while we waited for a few people to catch up. All right, scrolling through. Some people are close, but nobody has hit it right on the mark. I'm going to go ahead and give the answer, and it's 34 pounds. So I think I saw it 33 and I saw it 35. You can message me after on Discord and Reddit. We'll take care of that. I just need your AI Dungeon username. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to our live stream. And again, we have been looking forward to doing this in a while. My goal is to do this hopefully weekly-ish. We're going to try to share a little bit more behind the scenes of Latitude, the team, AI Dungeon, what we're doing on Voyage. And so please give me feedback. Tell me what things you'd like us to share. And my hope is that, so this week, the level of complexity I was able to handle was getting my own self on the live stream. I think in future weeks, what we'll try to do is get some of our team members on. We'll probably bring Nick on at times. We'll probably have Ryan come in. I want you to meet some of our developers. And we'll go through a number of different topics. We'll cover our development process. We'll talk about features that we're doing. We're going to give some sneak peeks to Voyage, some of the creator aspects that we're working on. So our goal is to try to give as much information to y'all as we can and answer as many questions as possible as we're kind of ramping up towards that release of Voyage. So we're excited. We're really excited. So today, obviously, wanted to talk a little bit about the post that we put out on stability, and we really appreciate all the feedback that everyone has submitted over the last few days and weeks as we've been fixing bugs and trying to make things more stable. And as I was in both Discord and Reddit talking to players, it was clear that many of you were interested in hearing a little bit more about our bug process. How do we think about bugs? How do we triage bugs? How do we capture bugs? And I'd love to show you a little bit of that. We are a very small team, and we have intentionally tried to keep ourselves agile and nimble and fast in terms of how we develop and produce features. And we're really quite proud of the process that we've developed. Like any process, it's not perfect, and we're constantly finding ways to improve and to improve. I should try to get all the words out. So yeah, if you guys see anything that we can improve on, would be really interested to hear your ideas and see how we can improve things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I'll start with where bugs are born. And that is obviously on AI Dungeon. And so there's a couple ways that bugs are discovered. When we're developing, we have a few different environments. So if people aren't familiar with this, an environment is basically a cloned version of the product that allows us to test different versions of our code and catch bugs and catch features and develop features before they get to you. And the idea is that if we can catch things early, we prevent you from having to encounter different issues. So we actually have 4 different environments. We have, and I guess technically you could say, let's say 4. So the first one is local, And so that means that this is the developers' machines. The developers have the ability to run the code on their machine, and so they can do their own local testing and catch things. Then we have internal. Internal is for our team only, but it's on a server. And so that there are more things that get caught once it's actually hosted on a server. And so this is where a lot of our initial testing happens when developers are pushing bugs. They are basically merging their bug fixes and their features into what's called a trunk. So boy, we're getting into a lot of developer stuff here. So if this is all kind of like over your head, I apologize. I'm going to try to break it down so that it's easy to understand. I am not a developer. I just hang out with them. And so that's my level of experience. But we use something that's called trunk-based development. So basically we have kind of a single version of code that everyone is kind of splitting off, doing in their own little version, and then they kind of bring it back in and they merge it into the main trunk. And they do that through something called pull requests. And a pull request is basically a submission saying, this is the code that I want to submit for my feature. And that has to be reviewed. So let me kind of come over here and show you. So this is Slack, and let me close all this stuff so you don't have to see all that. So this is our Slack, and when someone submits a PR, it gets submitted, it comes automatically into this code reviews channel. And we actually have sort of this emoji system that we use to track the progress of every code review. So every PR that gets submitted has to be reviewed by somebody else. And that's what this green check mark is. So in this case, Ohm, some of you had a bug where the title and description was being deleted. Ohm fixed that, and David approved that PR. That was then merged into that main branch. Now for some bugs, they just sit in that branch, and we will wait till we bundle it with the next release. But sometimes if there's a bug that's particularly painful, we will do something that we call cherry picking. And cherry picking basically means that we're going to take that bug and push that fix further up the pipeline so that people can get the fix earlier. So that's what that means. So in this case, this was a painful bug, and we actually ended up cherry picking this bug fix and pushing it I believe all the way up into production. The little beaker here is from our QA tester, Dolly, and that's Defeisty Soul or Defeisty1 in Discord. So when she has tested a PR, so when a developer pushes code into the internal branch, Dolly picks it up, she tests it, and verifies that the bug has been fixed. Now, in some cases, the bug or the feature, this is typical for bugs. Sometimes we have never been able to reproduce the bug ourselves. And in those cases, we go straight back to you in the community to verify the bugs for us. And so what will happen is we'll take that bug fix and we'll move it from the internal version of our code into alpha. And once it's in alpha, that means that any of you can go to alpha.aidungeon.com, or through your mobile app, you can change to the alpha channel and you can test the alpha version of our code. When we do that, the developers are able to ping you directly and say, hey, you reported this bug. We think we fixed it. Can you go to the alpha version of AI Dungeon and test it for us? And if that's the case, we actually have a different emoji for that. We have the little astronaut symbol here for when the community is verifying the change is working. And if it is, then we will bring that information back to the team, and we will advance it with a release. So generally, both the internal and the alpha release channels, we're not really thinking about releases at that point. We're basically dealing with individual changes. We're building features, we're doing bug fixes, and we're kind of testing them one by one inside of that internal and that alpha channel. So once we're through with a number of changes, then we're going to do, we call it cutting a release. And cutting a release means that we're going to create a new version of our code that gets bundled together. And the reason that's important is that when you're doing a bug fix or you're implementing features, sometimes those changes have unintended consequences. You might accidentally break something somewhere else in the product and not realize it. And so what we do is once we cut a release, that's when we do something called regression testing. And again, Device-Diesel or Dolly, she will go and do what we call regression testing. And she has a very lengthy script that she follows and tests all of the core features on web, on Android, on iOS. She tries to do it on multiple browsers. And her goal is to catch as many bugs as possible with that version that we have cut, with that release that we've cut. Once we feel good about that, then we can move that entire version into beta for the community to test and validate even further. Because one of the things that we've learned is that no matter how much testing we do internally, we just don't have the same device coverage that you and the community have. You guys have so many different devices and combinations and user and settings in AI Dungeon and elsewhere. Your adventures are different. And so we really rely on the feedback from the community to help us understand if something is stable. And so letting a release sit in beta for a while gives us some of that feedback. Let me show you an example. So Dolly here is one of the things that she will do is she will update us regularly on the state of different release versions and what is in them and sort of the status. So today she sent this one, and we have, and this is kind of, these are internal version numbers, but we have version 1.44.5. It's in production, and it has sort of the most recent change that was part of that. And you can see that in beta, we have a larger release version that's being what we call baked right now. Baking is the process where we kind of let something sit and we wait and listen and collect feedback from you and the community to make sure that everything that we think has been fixed is actually fixed. Do you guys mind if I have a little drink? I don't talk this much. The Murder Shed does have good drinks. I'll say that. All right. So this is really helpful because there's so many things in progress right now, so many things in flight. I mean, if I go back to the code review channel here, I mean, just in a given day, I mean, even this afternoon, I mean, here's all of these changes that are coming in, and this is just in one day. This is a lot of stuff to fix and test and verify. And so there's a lot to do. And so Dolly is really helpful at helping us track and make sure that all of these fixes, we know where they're at, we know the status of them, and that helps us to keep track of where things are at. Then when we're ready, one other thing I'll call out. So she also has this mention of flags. So some features that are bigger will actually push the code forward through the release, but we won't turn the feature on. So we can actually, in other words, make hidden features, and that lets the code kind of move through, and then we can turn the feature on using a setting. And that way we can control certain features being available or not, whether or not the code is, it's kind of decoupled from the code being deployed, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit about how bugs and features sort of make it through all these different stages and why we have these different stages. So the local testing is really for developers to do their own testing on and make sure that things are working. The internal branch is where Dolly and other testers are verifying those PRs or those code submissions. Then we're deploying to alpha for initial feedback from you to see if they're working for you on your devices, and if we need to, we can do multiple cycles to get more feedback. And then beta, we let sit for longer to see if there's any larger issues that we've missed. Once we feel good about a deployment, then we will advance it into production. Now, one thing I talked about in our stability posts that's really important is we optimize for there's a whole like line of there's this whole discipline called DevOps, and we optimize for what's called mean time to recovery. So if you think about like a D&D character, you can kind of min-max different properties, right? And so you could have a character that's like really strong and but slow and kind of lumbering, or you might have a character who's quick and fast and nimble. And you might think that the best defense is to kind of be strong and have a high kind of number of shields, if you will. But actually, most people tend to think that agility actually leads to more stability than kind of a defense. And so what we mean by that is that if we can react and respond quickly, it actually helps us get to stability faster, because not everything that breaks is our fault. There are certainly things that break that are our fault. I don't want to make it sound like it isn't. But let's say, for instance, we had an example a little while back where Android changed something with the versioning on their app. We were able to get a fix from our end deployed rather quickly. This happens as well when there's outages, or if a provider, an AI provider goes down, we can respond and react very, very quickly, which means that we can get you guys back online playing much, much sooner. Sometimes these slow deployments, it actually slows down how quickly we can make fixes. And our goal is to actually kind of push out as many fixes as we can to improve the stability. So we think that agility is the best way to get to stability. So we optimize for that. So one thing that we have added recently is actually the ability to quickly roll back. There's a development theory called blue-green deployment, and I'm really getting in the weeds now, but essentially what that is you can have two identical servers. And so we have this for production, where we have two production servers essentially, and we can put the new version on one and the old version on the other, and then immediately just swap them. And so that way we can kind of have an immediate deployment. And if there's anything broken, we can just swap back immediately and revert the changes as quickly as we need to. So that's really, really helpful. All right. So now let's talk a little bit more about, so we've kind of talked about the deployment process. Let's talk about the bug capturing and the bug triage process, because that's an important part of this system as well. And that's where we tend to interface with you all the most. A lot of our bugs come from Discord. And so what Dolly will typically do is come into the bugs feature request channel and filter by bug. It is helpful if you use the bug tag. She may miss it if you don't. And she'll open up the bug report and kind of see what's going on. And this is actually a pretty good bug report. It looks like there's quite a bit of information. We have clear steps to reproduce. It looks like Sulf, well done. You followed the template, and that's really, really helpful. Let me kind of back up. If you haven't seen this before, we have a template here for a bug report because this helps us a lot. Our engineers, we can't fix bugs if we can't reproduce them. So we have to know the steps that someone goes through in order to be able to recreate it and then identify what the issue is. Because we might need to look at logs, or we might need to look at kind of code running in the background to identify what's actually causing the bug. And I just realized that I was referencing Discord and I wasn't even sharing. So shame on me. Rookie mistake. Let's I'll pick it up again. So here we are in the bugs channel again. And if you didn't see it right there pinned at the top, we have our bug form. So we'll filter now to the bugs. And this is the Sulf one that I was looking at that I said was actually really good. You can see that Maverick's already jumped on it and responded. Now sometimes I want to find a bad example. Man, everyone's doing great. These are good ones. Great examples. Look at all these great bug reports. There's like clear steps to reproduce. There's environment information. Yeah, y'all are doing great. Thank you so much for these great bug reports. This is awesome. So when someone submits a bug report, the feisty one will come in here and she'll read it. The first thing that she'll do is she'll actually come and see if it's a duplicate with something we already have. And actually, let me open up this could be scary. I'm gonna open up Claude because we've actually built an MCP server for Claude that I run it locally. This actually isn't gonna work. Bad idea. We actually have an MCP server for Claude that helps her to look at all of the new bug reports and then cross-reference them into Notion, which I'll show you in a minute, which is where all of our captured bugs sit. And so it helps her to figure out if any of these bugs are duplicates. Because sometimes people will submit a bug report that's already been submitted. And if that's the case, she doesn't need to capture it again. So that helps her kind of figure out if we have the same bug that's already being captured. If it hasn't been captured, then what she will do is copy all of the information into Notion. If any of you are unfamiliar with Notion, it is a really cool tool. We use it for all of our bug tracking as well as project work. We've turned it into kind of our entire we run our entire company off of it. So here's a view. We have what's called our work database. We have different sections for different teams that we have. So we have our platform team, the engine team, which is working on Voyage. We have our AI team, our community team, operations. There's a bunch of stuff going on. So the platform team is what a lot of, which is where most of the bugs that you all submit are related to platform. And so we've got our project work here at the top. We have design and discovery. So these are things that we're kind of actively developing. And then we have our bugs list. And let me kind of collapse it here. What typically happens is that Dolly will capture new bugs and put them into this triage inbox. And this is a place where, at this point, we're just trying to ingest them into our system. And she'll copy all the information over. And then she will go through and do a triage where she's basically saying, assigning a priority based on her judgment. This is a P1. It's critical. We have to fix this now. Or maybe it's a P3 or a P4. And from there, she will kind of help assemble a list of top bugs that we need to address. She'll also categorize the bugs based on sections of the app. And the reason this is helpful is that as a developer, if you're fixing a bug, it's often better to fix bugs in the same area at the same time because it's just faster. You're loading context, you're reading the code, you're kind of really getting your head right into that feature. And so this allows you to really kind of fix all of them more quickly. So especially for things that aren't urgent. So this is kind of like those P3, P4 bugs. We'll often bundle them into similar categories. Now, because Dolly is QA, she will usually get feedback on the bug triaging that she's doing. So she'll also, you've seen the report that she does on the releases. She does a similar report for triaging. So in the triage report, she kind of gives a report of newly assigned bugs. So she'll assign some bugs immediately to be fixed. She'll also show which ones she hasn't been able to verify yet. You can see here a fix that didn't work and we had to reopen. And then some other bugs that, are kind of pressing and noisy and need it being addressed. And so this is how we kind of gut check the judgment calls that she's making. So Ryan and I are typically the ones reviewing that and making sure that we agree with the assessment of the bugs, make sure we agree with the level of priority that they're being given, and then we'll often have a discussion to decide, how are we going to address this? Are we going to address this with an upcoming release? Do we need to drop everything and do this now? How do we want to react and respond to this? And so these triage reports are really helpful, and they give great visibility into what we're doing. Often on these bug reports that are in Discord, let me actually open up a bug report. Actually, let's do that. So let's open up like a top bug here. Let's open up like this keyboard bug. By the way, if you have an Android, I want you to put it in your hand right now and then turn around and throw it out the window because I hate Android keyboards. Android keyboard bugs are like the bane of our existence. There's so many variations. There's always bugs with them. So just throw your Android out the window. You'll be okay. That's all I have to say about that. All right. So Dolly will actually copy most of the information from Discord over. We have a few kind of checkpoints for her. So like if multiple people have provided clear steps, we'll check that off. If we've seen this from more than one community member and more than one person is able to verify it, that increases the likeliness of it being a bug. And if we have been able to verify it ourselves, that's kind of an additional thing. So this one, like this is definitely a clear bug because we've kind of seen it verified all up and down. She'll also link directly to the discussion in Reddit or Discord. And this is important because we need to make sure that our developers have a direct line of communication with the people who are affected, especially for some of these bugs that are harder for us to reproduce. That's critical, and it's important that we make that happen. All right. Then other screenshots, she'll download the videos. So this is actually a video recording. And she can quickly assign it to different members of the team if she'd like to, or assign it to one of our lists. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind every single bug. And it's a lot of work. I mean, between the capturing, the testing, the verifying, the fixing, the arranging of the releases, there's a lot that happens here, and it's a lot of work. So if you happen to come across a feisty one, give her a shout out. That's a lot of work to deal with all of the bugs on the platform. So let's talk a little bit about. Actually, let me stop and just see if there's any questions first in chat. I haven't looked. I've kind of seen a few chat things come through, and I want to see if there's any questions that I can answer or address before I get too crazy, because I can see some of you got a little upset about the Android comment, and I just want you to know that you're wrong, and it's okay. We still love you. It's just your keyboards drive us crazy. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. It's the keyboard. The keyboard's got to go. That's all it is. So let's see if there's any questions about the bug process that I've gone over so far. Anything you want me to dive into in more detail? Anything I can expand on? Go ahead and shoot those into the comments, and I will see if I can address them. And I'm going to just read through real quick. Yeah, I've definitely some good stuff in here. So good question. What if a bug has more than one way it triggers? That's a great question. We often that'll come up. And I guess I would just say that, generally we catch that. Sometimes we don't, but generally we do catch that, and we'll just add it to the same bug report as an additional way to trigger the bug. Usually we catch it pretty quickly. People are interested in Tala. Oh yeah, I should talk about Tala. Cool. That sounds good. All right. So Tala, I'll talk about Tala for just a second. So some of you may not know, but earlier at the beginning of the year, we had most of our community team at the time leave, and it was basically the community team went from 5 people to just me. I was swamped. I was working some of you probably chatted with me during that time. I was working 70, 80 hour weeks, and it was a little rough. One of the things that I realized is that I could use AI to help me with the community work. And so I vibe coded this product called Tala that basically would capture information from Discord and Reddit, and then I put it into a RAG database, and then I could use AI to ask questions about the anything going on in Discord or Reddit. So I could have it summarize discussions. I could have it find information that I was missing, and it was saving me a lot of time. We actually ended up hiring a developer who took what I built and expanded it to be much, much more. And that's Boomerang. Y'all have seen him on Discord as Boomerang, but he took it and expanded it to be a lot more. And so we use it for things like if we have a question about a player and we want to know what their background is, we can do a report on a player. We have daily summaries that run and sort of summarize all the discussions that are happening on different channels. So we can see what our creators are talking about. We can see what people are talking about in AI Dungeon discussion. We can see where the most painful bugs are. And even though there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of discussion happening on Discord, Tala helps us to extract out the information that we would otherwise miss if we were, because we can't be on Discord and Reddit all the time. Obviously, we're trying to build and make stuff work, and so Tala is incredibly helpful for that. Actually, maybe I should just give a little sneak peek here. So like for instance, Tala, let's do Tala community. This will be fun. I'll go to the latest one. You can see here a summary. So for the community one, I think it does like a 6-hour time range. And so you can see some of the, we call them negative discussion topics, but things of concern. So this helps us to kind of understand if there's any issues that are rising to the top for creators and players. We can also see positive things. So sometimes when we're having funny discussions on AI Dungeon discussion, those will show up here. We have links that'll take us directly to it. So if we wanted, for instance, to look into the story summary maximum limit being reached, I could click on that and open it up, and it would drop me right into that discussion. So it makes it easy for us to kind of catch up and see if we can help or if we can solve things. So Tala is really, really helpful and really powerful for our team. And so we use it for, general community. Oh, guys, I am so sorry. I just saw I am fired. I was gonna tell you all to make a case for tell Nick to give me a promotion or a raise or something, but I don't think I deserve it after this. All right, here's the community version of Tala. So in this case, we're looking at the summary of the AI Dungeon discussion channel, and you can see here's the topics that I was referring to earlier. And then if I click on one of the links, it'll just drop me straight into that discussion, which is awesome. And so we've pointed this at some key channels. So we have it for just the broad community. We have it looking at bug reports. And so, Dolly will obviously use this to see where the painful ones are. We have it summarizing Reddit. We also have it on our Pioneers channel. So we have it pointed to a number of channels that we're paying really close attention to. And we can also ask Tala specific questions as well. Yeah, I appreciate you all being patient. This is, I am not a streamer. But I'm going to be. Y'all are going to make me into a streamer. I am determined that we are going to stream. This is a thing that Latitude is going to be good at. Anyway, so there's Tala, and I will tell you the origin of the name. So, my wife is actually from Samoa, which is an island in the South Pacific. I have learned the language, and there is a comedic group that we like. They're called the Laughing Samoans, and they're kind of like a sketch comedy show, And there's this character in one of their sketches that is basically like a gossiping church lady, and her name is Tala. And when I was thinking about Tala, I was just thinking about kind of like this gossiping church lady who, like, sits in the back of the chapel and can see everyone coming in and out and just knows who's doing what, and a little bit nosy. And anyway, that was kind of like my funny idea of what Tala is. And the kind of play on words that's kind of nice too is that the literal translation of Tala is actually story, which I think plays well into AI Dungeon. So there's the origin of Tala. It's awesome. Cool. So there's a little bit about Tala. Let me see, is there any other questions that I can answer on let's see, just going through the chat. Excellent. Great. Okay. Yeah. Let me just a little bit more on, maybe let me just talk a little about some of the adjustments and the things that may have gone wrong this week. Is, we've definitely heard and felt the frustration of more bugs than normal. And, we definitely appreciate and hear the feedback on that. And actually, before I could do that, I see the question about how long does it take between a bug being reported and when it's assigned. It depends on how urgent the bug is. For P1 bugs, like top urgent things, I mean, it can often happen within minutes. I mean, we'll get notified, by someone in the community, and we will have a developer on it within minutes. If it's, 3 a.m., it might take us a little longer to wake somebody up, but it's usually within minutes or maybe hours for top priority things. For things that are lower priority, let's say like a P3 or P4. So these are things that are painful, but there's workarounds, or it's kind of more obscure. Those tend to be scheduled. So we schedule them with releases, or we'll bundle them and similar things. And so those depend. It can be as, there isn't necessarily like a clear kind of timeline for some of those. It can be quick within a week. Sometimes for some bugs, we'll let them sit for longer, while we're working on other ones that are a higher priority. So cool. So let's talk a little bit about this week. So as you can see, our process is pretty robust. And we're actually really happy with the process. And there's ways that we can make the process more rigid. We can make the process better documented. There's ways that we could close certain gaps. But one of the things that we've learned as a team is that there's a trade-off between making a process really heavy and our ability to move fast and quickly. And so we've optimized for kind of that balance. We really like the process we have with internal and alpha and beta. And, I think one of the places that we're going to kind of recenter on is just making sure that we're leaving changes in those environments long enough to get valid testing on all of them. We've got caught a few times in the past little while advancing things more quickly because we're so anxious to get changes out. In fact, we were joking about that a little bit earlier in Discord. Like a lot of I can't wait for you to meet some of our dev team. Like everyone here loves AI Dungeon. They love our community. And there's some things that it's just like painful that like there's these bugs, and we know that you all want fixes. And so we're really anxious to get those out to you. And sometimes that can turn into moving things quicker than we should. But really the bigger contributors are a couple things. So the first one is our team is growing. We're hiring, I made a joke with Ryan about this, but we're hiring about 1.5 people per month right now. My joke with Ryan was, who do you consider the halves? But we're hiring pretty aggressively right now. And a lot of that is because we want to accelerate the launch of Voyage. And then once Voyage launches, we want to make sure that we have the right team in place to support Voyage and AI Dungeon, and especially at scale. Obviously earlier this year we were having some struggles with scale, and we want to make sure that we're ready for all of that. So that's been part of it. And the crazy thing is, like, the amount of code that is being developed is insane to watch. I mean, for a long time, we've been kind of constrained by not having enough engineers, and we've just been desperate. And now it's like we're seeing code just like coming in faster than we can even track sometimes. And because, there's a lot of newer people on the team, and we haven't, they're still getting used to our process. There's been times where there's been coordination that hasn't happened. There's been instances where one dev will break something that someone else is working on. And so we're working through some of those kind of communication issues and just making sure that everyone is really aligned with how our process works. As the dev team continues to grow, we may need to add additional parts to our process to help with that. But that's right now we're okay with what we've got. We'll just kind of double down on what's been working for us. The other thing is that we've had a couple different refactors going at the same time, and refactors are great. And what I mean by refactoring is, like, we're kind of rebuilding these different systems. So for instance, the memory and auto summary systems, those have been underperforming for months now. They've been really tricky because they've been hard to reproduce. And so we actually built an entire system. We called it the feedback system, just to capture data that we could use to even diagnose it. And so that, like, just building that feedback system took weeks. But now we're using it. We're gathering data. Ben and Wilmar and Shiny have all been helping us to go through that data, test different changes with our developers, and we have some improvements coming for the memory and the summary systems that are going to be really helpful. So that's an example of a refactor that we're doing. Another refactor, water break, hang on. Man, I need to work on my my voice's what do you call it? Endurance. I'm fading fast, y'all. Another refactor we're doing is on search. And when I say search, it just means any sort of query that we use to surface content. And so this does include making our searches better, but it also includes algorithms that we use to surface content. One of the things that we're exploring right now is being able to surface categories on the Discover page. So being able to browse by genre or type of story. Those are things that we're exploring right now with content discovery, and all of that hinges on having kind of a better search technology at the foundation. So that's, I think many of you have seen some search bugs recently, and it's related to that refactor, but it means that really exciting things are happening. And, for those of you who might be worried that Voyage is getting all the attention and not AI Dungeon, I mean, these are two very big systems that we're putting a lot of work into for AI Dungeon. So hopefully, that's exciting for you all. We're also doing a number of performance improvements. We're trying to stay ahead of the growth that we have and make sure that as we see any of our systems that are constrained at all, that we're clearing those constraints. We're also doing cost optimizations, and obviously we want to save costs, but like we are reinvesting those cost savings back into things that matter more. Cause like, frankly, we don't want to have to pay like database providers, or like, that's not as exciting as paying for AI compute for you all to use, right? So as we save cost in parts of our infrastructure, it allows us to give away more AI for you all to use. So that's one of the reasons that we're spending so much time on cost optimizations. We're also working right now on integrating Voyage content into the AI Dungeon platform. so that we can have a cohesive experience. That's a an important preparation as we get ready for release. So that's another kind of overhaul that's happening at the same time. So that's those refactors. Those tend to be more unstable because they're really big changes, and we had a few of them sort of collide at the same time, and it wasn't. We had intended for them to be more spread out, but some of them got delayed, and there were some bugs in some, and so we've had a few of them kind of coalesce at the same time, which isn't ideal, and we're working through that. Another reason we've had kind of a few instability this week is just you've seen now the process, but bug triage is really hard. There's a lot to do. There's a ton of information coming at our team. Lots of different bug reports, different channels, different discussions, multiple reports, duplicate reports. We have existing things, and it is a lot, and it's hard to figure out. Sometimes when you get a bug report, it can be hard to understand if it's affecting one person or 10 people or everybody. There's a lot of judgment calls that go into bug triage, and it is a subjective call a lot of times. And the team is making those decisions quickly. Sometimes we don't have perfect information. And I think most of the time the team does a good job with it, but occasionally we miss. Sometimes we'll underestimate the impact of something and that it affects more people than we realized. And so this week has been a good time for us to kind of realign with the team on which things are urgent enough to escalate and put in front of our developers sooner. So overall, I think we're happy with our process, and we just need to kind of stick to it. I think, like I said, we've just been a little anxious to push changes out. We do have a good process in place. We just need to kind of follow it and be more disciplined, and I think we'll be okay. But one thing we are going to do is delay the Voyage closed beta by 1 week, just to give the team more time to focus on stabilizing all of the bugs that we have, and then we'll get into that next week. So it should be good. Well, there we go. That is what I wanted to cover today on the bug process. Any final questions, things that I can cover, things that you're interested in? Would love to answer. Yeah, anything that you want to ask, let me know. What is smoke testing? Smoke testing is interesting. It's an interesting term. It basically means just like a rapid test. So, when we do a full regression test, we're testing this long script and then we're doing that kind of test script across multiple devices and platforms. And so it's really time consuming. A smoke test is, you're kind of just checking for basic functionality, like can you load the site? Can you do a single action? And so we may not test every flow, but we're testing some of the core things just to make sure that, we're not breaking anything serious. So we usually do smoke testing earlier in the process, or we may use smoke testing for, like, if, let's say there's a really painful bug that we have to fix, and we have to fix it quickly. We may not want to take the time to do a full 3-hour regression test. We may want to just get it out into production, and if it's broken, we'd rather roll it back. And so we'll do a smoke test and just make sure that our fix didn't break anything serious, and then we'll just watch the sort of reaction to see if it was successful or not. So that's what a smoke test is. It's basically just a lightweight regression test is all. Excellent question. How do you get into beta? The closed beta. There's a few ways. So one is just be active in the Discord and the Reddit. Over time, we're going to expand the closed beta. There's gonna be a lot of people in it. We're going to give So the way okay, sorry, I'm kind of rambling. Let me just tell you how it works. There's different sort of like groups or profiles of people that we want to put into closed beta because we want to get a good cross section of feedback from different groups. So we want to have power users. So we have people who have been in AI Dungeon or using a lot of AI Dungeon. We also have newer players. So we're trying to find players who haven't been in AI Dungeon long but are active. We are also looking for creators because one of the things we want to do in the closed beta is give creators some time to build voyage worlds and have a bunch of great worlds ready for when we open up publicly. So there's a few different segments of player profiles that we're looking for. So we're going to be randomly selecting people from these different profiles and inviting them into closed beta. If you're active on the Discord, if you're building content, if you're, there's a really good chance that you'll be invited before long. So, keep playing, stay active, and your chances improve the more you're able to do. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Is it better to report bugs on Discord or Reddit? I would say it's better on Discord. Our process is a little bit more fluid there, and the other benefit is we can chat in real time. The one downside with Reddit is it's not as, you can respond rather quickly back and forth, but Discord is just a lot more fluid. So I think Discord is preferred. If you're welcome to do it anywhere. One philosophy we have in the past, we used to have like this special bug tracking software that we would send people to, and we actually got rid of that because our philosophy is we want to capture bugs where you are. So if you're in Discord, if you're on Reddit, whatever's convenient for you, go ahead and report the bug. You can even send us an email at support@aidungeon.com. Whatever's convenient, we will take it. We will work with it. It's on us to figure it out and organize. It's not on you to kind of adapt to our process. We're here to serve you, not the other way around. So Discord is probably the easiest, but you're welcome to do anything that's convenient for you. All right. What other questions do we have? For the closed beta, will it be subscription? Okay. So for the closed beta, with regards to subscriptions, we're going to be testing the subscription strategy with the beta testers. And so what I mean by that is that Voyage is going to have different features available at different tiers, just like we have on AI Dungeon. And we're going to test that with our beta testers so we can get feedback on if it's the right set of features or not. We're also going to have a free experience. So if you're a beta tester and you don't have a subscription, you'll get the free Voyage experience, and you can tell us if you like the experience or not. And if we'll listen to that feedback and we're going to try to adjust. So our goal is to get an understanding from that closed beta of how people's experience is with the subscriptions inside of Voyage. All right, let's see if there's any other questions that I missed. Guys, I really appreciate everyone who has jumped on and asked a bunch of questions and commented and participated. This has been fun. I don't know if there's there's like little emoji things you can do. Be curious, like get a heart or something if you guys want us to do more of these. Because I'd be curious to see if this has gone well, if it's been... first of all, I think many of you have stuck almost a whole hour listening to my monotone, boring voice. So first, congrats on that. That's impressive. Really appreciate that. And you've endured my water breaks to keep the throat lubricated. Please feel free to send me more ideas on the live stream, and we'll do some more of these. Like I said, we will invite others on the team to participate. We're going to try to do this. My goal is to start with one a week. So feel free to bother me if that doesn't happen. We may not do it next week with the holiday. With here in the States, we have Thanksgiving next week. It is my American duty to celebrate Thanksgiving, so I will be doing that. Okay. Thank you all for participating. I'm going to go ahead and close up the stream. See you all on Discord and Reddit and other places. But thank you again so much for all of you. Thank you for the bug reports. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for being part of our community. Like, you are the reason we do everything that we do here at Latitude. One of our kind of core company values is user value over all else. And like everything we do, we want to give you as much value as we possibly can. So thank you for helping us to do that by giving us feedback so we can give you all that we can. So we'll talk